City officials in Minneapolis are keeping an eye on local reaction tonight to the fatal shooting of a man by a police officer there. The man was killed during what police say was an exchange of gunfire after a traffic stop last night. It is the first police killing in the city since George Floyd's death in May. Special correspondent Fred DeSam Lazaro has the story and a warning. This report includes graphic images of the shooting.
Dozens of protesters gathered overnight at the scene of the shooting in South Minneapolis. The demonstrations were tense but mostly peaceful. Some people built a fire in the middle of the street as temperatures dropped into the teens. Immediately after Wednesday night's shooting, details were sparse. Minneapolis Police Chief Medaria Arradondo.
MPD officers were conducting a traffic stop involving a felony suspect. Initial witness statements indicate that the subject involved in this felony stop fired first at Minneapolis police officers, who then exchanged gunfire with the suspect. The subject of the stop was pronounced deceased at the scene by medical personnel.
Authorities didn't provide information on the suspect's race or the crime he allegedly committed, but family members and local news reports identified him as Dalal Eid, a Soomaali man in his 20s.
Hands up!
Late this afternoon, police released one body camera video from the shooting showing multiple shots being fired. The shooting happened just a mile from where George Floyd was killed after being restrained by officers in May. That incident touched off nationwide unrest over police violence and racism in the U.S. In a statement late Wednesday, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey said, "Events of this past year have marked some of the darkest days in our city. We know a life has been cut short and that trust between communities of color and law enforcement is fragile. We must all be committed to getting the facts, pursuing justice, and keeping the peace." Floyd's killing led to a push for big changes in the Minneapolis police. Earlier this month, the city council cut about $8 million from the department's budget. Meanwhile, the city has seen a dramatic increase in violence this year, including an uptick in murders and a rash of carjackings. And an exodus of officers from the police department forced the city to bring in help from other agencies. And just a few minutes ago, the mayor and police chief ended a news conference with the police chief saying that he believes the suspect was being pursued in a weapons investigation, that in fact, the suspect, in the chief's opinion, shot first in that exchange, and that a weapon was recovered at the scene. That scene being investigated by the State Bureau of Investigation, of Criminal Investigation, and not the police department. Both men indicated that they had met with the family of the young man before sharing the video publicly. They shared it with the family first, and both men pleaded for calm in a city with frayed nerves on this, the final night of an exhausting year in Minneapolis. In St. Paul, Minnesota, I'm Fred DeSam Lazaro for the PBS NewsHour.